Hello. It's me. I'm glad that you think it's reasonable. If you wanna. Oh, hello. Unless that's you. The watcher was here, they left. Oh, hello. Hello, not watcher. Oh, it's back to 1 now. Yeah. Well, before you arrived, it was at 1 and then disappeared. A classic move. Right. As you can see, I'm doing really good. I obviously feel absolutely great. And not like I want to scream at someone. No, not at all. That has never happened to me ever. Okay. How's about we listen to some stream whilst I eat my depressi spaghetti? Do the screamings. There you go. Was that adequate screaming, or do you need more, Lum? And as long as you can hit beautiful. Thank you, darling. I try to be. It did actually a little bit. It made me chuckle. It made me giggle. Also, I'm fairly certain people will assume that I'm in like bad shape. Okay. We are on Mary Key. We are on first edition, episode 62. Statement of Mary fucking Key, the woman herself. God damn. I wonder if this is before or after she got skinned. Because she still made an appearance post skinning, so I assume the skinning didn't really do much. That's what it doesn't normally do that. Oh, that's better. Righty ho. Oh my god, it's Mary Key. I'm gonna go sicko mode, bro. I'm very excited. Right. Also, for some reason, it thinks that I've played all of these episodes. I haven't. I've never listened to any of these episodes, but they all say play again. So either someone else listened to the Magnus archives on this iCloud account, which is possible somehow. I don't know. It could be. Or there's a ghost. That's the only other logical solution.
AI might be the most important innovation ever.
Really?
Hi, everyone. It's Johnny from the Magnus Archives.
Oh, God, don't want to hear you like that. No. No, thank you. No, thank you. I need your nice British posh accent, please. No, none of that. Otherwise, I'm going to think you're Johnny DeVille. And that's not good. We should get tilted. We should not be crossing that border, because then there's too many Johnnies and we're going to get very confused.
The Magnus Archives.
I do wonder, though, if this is pre or post skinning.
Episode 62. First edition.
Oh, she's pretty fucking good, I can't lie. I might have to go get seconds.
Well, no need to rush me, Gertrude.
Oh,
I'm sure we've got
shit!
all the time in the world.
Oh shit! It's my girl Gertrude! I didn't even fucking realise! God, I'm so stupid. I forgot in the last one he got an... Oh my god, Gertrude met Mary fucking Key. No, that's crazy. Mary versus Gertrude boss battle. Absolutely. Oh my god, that's so... Oh shit. I'm very excited. This must be pre-skinning then, surely. Must be. Because if this was when Gertrude was around, this would have been what, like at least early 2000s, which is way before the book thing. According to my trusty little thing, which is he gets the book in 2012, and that's when she's been skinned. So this has got to be compare case numbers to no date versus pre. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Oh yeah, 2008. So I hadn't noted when she got skinned because it didn't feel relevant, but I'd like to assume that that this was pre-skinning, because I assume she's actually dead and somehow Swain saw like some creepy mirage of her. Otherwise, just, you know, got skinned and then got tattoos on her non-skin skin. I don't fucking know. Things don't make sense here, and that's fine. That's fine. They don't need to make sense.
Besides, look at this dusty old thing. Expect it needs time to warm up. You don't use it much anymore, do you? Tea? God, no. Hate the stuff.
Wait, did she say
Why
don't...
are you here?
Oh, I thought she said you don't visit much anymore. And I was like, shit, do they know each other? No.
To make my statement, of course. I know the Institute and me haven't always seen eye to eye, as it were, but I thought it was the least I could do. Why now? Why not? Big changes are coming, Gertrude, and I have to think about leaving something for posterity.
Fine. Subject is Mary Key, recorded 3rd of July, 2008. What is it regarding?
What a question. I wonder. Plenty to choose from, I suppose.
Take your time.
Did I ever tell you about my first liner? Of course, this was before he was collecting them, so back then it was just a strange book. To think there was a time before he'd stamped them with his mark.
That's
I
crazy.
feel we must have called them
Oh, we're about to
something.
get the history of light now.
Did we even know how many there were? Or did we just think of each as a thing all its own?
No, I don't recall.
I met him a few times, you know. Must have been about 15 years ago. Not long before his library burned down. It wasn't all that impressive, to be honest. Shorter than I expected, and slower somehow. I expected a whirlwind of intense energy, but he was gentle, methodical, perfectly pleasant to talk to. Jurgen Leitner bored me. Whenever he came to look through my stock, he'd spend almost a full minute on each book, just staring at it, examining the pages, and half the time leave without buying anything.
Mary's mad.
I wouldn't know.
Mary's pissed off, bro. Mary's like, this wank stain comes into my shop, don't buy a damn thing. Fuck him. God, it's always the old ones that are crazy.
Can't say we ever crossed paths.
I suppose not.
Wait, so is Leitner dead?
Don't really go out.
Because they're talking about him like he's dead. Good riddance, if you ask me. I wouldn't know. I can't say we ever crossed paths. That sounds like Leitner's dead. I mean, to be fair, though, that makes sense. If she knew him like some 15 odd fucking years ago, he'd be an old motherfucker by now. So, unless he's immortal, which is not outside of the realm of possibility, in my opinion. I mean, if somehow worms can stop making noise once they enter the fucking archive or whatever it was, and somehow forces are stopping John from making very obvious assumptions, then immortality is not that far of a stretch. Wait, actually, wasn't there... We heard a statement from someone who became like a carrier of death. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Who became a carrier of death, who had to, like, basically trick people, isn't it, into taking his place, and then he could be alive again and not die. So, actually, immortality does exist, but you have to be a carrier of death, so... I don't know.
Look for yourself, do you? Just wait here for the researcher's leptons.
It's not that bad. Sometimes someone will insist on giving me a statement directly, though I rarely see the point.
Well, they don't...
The shade. This is... I thought you were joking when you said boss battle. It absolutely is a boss battle. These two seem to hate each other. I don't know why.
The stand up there.
William.
They don't know what this place is. You do, though, don't you? We're on the same side, really, even if liars disagree.
If you say so.
A lot.
I believe you were giving me an account of your first encounter with one of the books.
Oh, of course. I was very young, but I still remember it clear as day. I was 9 years old at the time. So
Oh, wow.
It would have been 1955. It was shortly after my idiot father had gotten himself killed. My mother was...
So if she was 9 in 1955, that means she was born in 1946, which makes her as of 2017 she's born on 46. $54 in 2000 plus 64, 71.
still working for your institute. We were living in Whitechapel back then, just off Turner Street. Wasn't much. Just
Wait.
a couple of rooms and a stove.
Wait, your mum used to work at the institute? Mary. Oh, this would make such a cool family tree. Oh my god. Can't wait. I can't wait till I get to a point where I can make the family tree. For sure. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put mum and dad. Had Mary in 1946. I wonder when she had garage. Sorry, I'm eating chocolate because I like chocolate.
It was enough for us. My mother worked long hours. It was
Let's go
shortly
back.
after my idiot father had gotten himself killed. My mother was still working for your institute. We were living in Whitechapel back then, just off Turner Street. It wasn't much, just a couple of rooms and a stove, but it was enough for us. My mother worked long hours, as even back then the Institute didn't pay their researchers well. And she supplemented our meagre income by working late at a factory on Grove Road. It made dressing gowns. Most of the time I was left to my own devices. If she'd had any sense, my mother would have chucked your lot and gone to work at the factory full time. She would have earned a damn sight more. Still, she believed in the work.
Mary
And the one
hates
thing she
the
was never
Institute.
neglectful of was what she called my true studies. I'm grateful to her, of course. I just wish that she'd got over her slavish devotion to you and your patron.
Well, you make a lot of assumptions, Mary. I thought we were supposed to be on the same side.
Wait, and our patron? I'm sorry, who's our
I'm grateful
patron?
to her, of course.
Who's our patron?
I just
Who the fuck is our patron? Are we talking about... We must be talking about Jonah Magnus. I suppose, yeah, because I guess, I don't know. Because a patron... Do you know what it is? I hooked onto that word because in D&D, warlocks have patrons, and patrons are the ones that they sell their souls to for magic. So I'm like, who the fuck is the patron of this institute? Like, but I'm probably overthinking it because you can also just have patron of the arts, which just means that you fund it. So I'm being a silly goofy boy.
wish that she'd got over her slavish devotion to you and your patron.
Well, you make a lot of assumptions, Mary.
Mary is a vicious, angry woman, and I love her for it. I don't know who you are, Mary. I know who you are, Mary. Mary, I think you're fucking weird, but oh my god, I love you. Beautiful. Just, I need you to stop making soft leather journals, okay? I need you to stop with the soft leather. I mean, I understand that the final book was made of you and probably made by oh, there's my mother. Oh my god. What? Hang on. Right. That was my mom. I'm kind of glad I muted myself that time, because Mum started talking about things that were embarrassing for me. Yes, thank you. Well, I'm back. I'm here. Yeah, I showed her my drawing of Martin, and she was like, "Oh my god, that looks like you." I went, "Does it?" I think it's because in my head he has ginger hair, so I'm like, that's not me. But apparently it looks like me. So genuinely didn't mean to do that, but hey, I guess I'm Martin now. You know, there are worse people to be. He's a lovely gentleman, so I'm not mad about it. Yeah, I think it's the fresh. Yeah, I don't really notice my freckles anymore. I wish, although I do still see them on my arms and stuff. They're all over my arms, but I don't really see them on my face anymore. Thank you. Anyway, they're on a boat, by the way. That's why they keep phoning me. I should really plan these somehow around them, because this is like the third time this has happened. Anyway, back to the battle of the century, Gertrude versus Mary. I've been making a little family tree. It's like just rough notes. So far, I've got that the mum worked at the Institute and that Mary was born in 1946. I don't know who her husband is, because I assume she had one. She didn't just create Jared via like mitosis. I mean, she could have done. To be honest, I wouldn't put it past her. She seems like a woman capable of many things. But yeah. Rightio.
I thought we were supposed to be on the same side.
Yeah. I suppose you're right. I'd just like to diversify my portfolio a bit, as it were. Often during my studies, my mother would talk to me of the amazing arcane relics that built the Institute. I'm sure you can imagine my disappointment when I finally got a look at the collection of mediocrity that you call your artifact stories.
Oh, shit!
The idea of dark and fearful items of power had taken root in my young mind. I used to spend afternoons hunting through antique and junk shops.
I do that too,
There
don't
were
worry.
plenty to choose from back then, searching for anything strange.
Oh my god! When you come here, we have to go to this. There's this shop slash like cafe place, and they have all this antique stuff, and I'm talking a lot of antique stuff. They've got everything, bro. They've even got antique like handyman tools. It's crazy. We have to go. I just like looking at everything. And my little crow brain's like, oh wow, look at all the things. It's a brilliant time.
Hunting for that thing that would call to me in a dark, secret voice. I never found it, of course.
I can see why Jared killed you, Mary.
When I saw Dr. Margaret Tillison moving in across the street, I knew immediately that there was something different about her. She was tall and thin, with long dark hair.
Dr. Margaret Tillison. I don't recognize that
name.
name.
She wore a deep blue woolen dress and carried an old leather briefcase that seemed constantly on the verge of buckling, although she carried it with ease.
Margaret always used to be talking to old people.
It was about her that stuck out to me, but as soon as I saw her, I knew she was what my mother had always talked about. She was touched by powers like those that watched over our family. She had a small GP practice on Nelson Street, not far from the Royal London Hospital. Back then, Whitechapel was a heavily Jewish neighbourhood, and there weren't many Gentile doctors around, so it didn't take Dr. Tillison long to build up a healthy client list. I started to watch her. Whenever my mother was at work, I would sit myself on the steps opposite her practice and watch the steady stream of patients. Over the weeks, I started to notice something. The first time an ambulance was called to take one of her patients to the hospital, I didn't think much of it. But when another one came the day afterwards, and another 3 days later, it started to occur to me that there was something more within those walls than I knew. I decided that I had to see for myself. It had not gone unnoticed to me that many of Dr. Tillison's clients did not bother to knock on her front door, simply entering with a soft call to announce themselves. Leaving the front door of her practice unlocked was no doubt good for her clients, but also provided me with easy access when I finally overcame my trepidation. I had paid
breaking and
attention to
entering.
how loud the door was.
Breaking and entering seems to be an ongoing theme in this show. I don't think they intended it to be, but this is the second time that someone has decided out of morbid curiosity to break into someone's residence of living. Which is fine.
And timed my entry to the passing of a butcher's truck, the roar of the engine covering the sound of the door. And then, just like that, I was inside. I cursed myself for not having spent more time trying to get a sense of the interior of the building, as I'd not expected the waiting room to be so sparse. There were 3 uncomfortable-looking wooden chairs, several bookshelves filled with worn-looking paperbacks, and a dim bulb in a wire cage. There was only a single door leading further into the building, with a peeling coat of plain white paint. My plan had been
Exactly!
to hide, but
if these people just learned to mind their own fucking business, they would be a lot happier and a lot more alive in most instances. Morbid curiosity is genuinely the number one killer in this fucking universe. I decided to go through the hole. I decided to open the coffin. I decided to, like, when has that led to anything good? Never. It has. The only person that has experienced this shit and come out completely unscathed thus far is my boy Joseph Gillespie, okay? And he is an icon for it because no one else has. We are 62 episodes in, and there is yet to be another individual completely unscathed by their experiences with the paranormal. Joseph Gillespie is the only one, and he's practically a god for it, honestly.
it didn't look like there was anywhere actually to do so.
I don't like her voice. It really...
Still wondering what to do. And I heard heavy footsteps approaching from...
It's the... I can't explain it. It's like the... I can't explain it because for the most part, her voice just sounds old. It's when it's like it starts to like... and go up, you know? It's like, oh, sweet Jesus. There was that one dude who went for fight, not flight, which would have worked in any situation that wasn't it. Oh, for real, for the most, like it was her voice kind of coils at the end in a really gross way that's making me feel like cotton. It literally tastes like cotton in my mouth when she does that with her voice. I'm like, stop it. I just lost my neck in that. Oh my god, my neck actually just. Hello, Jesus! I was not expecting my neck to disappear like that, like a snapping turtle.
Behind the door, I froze, looking around desperately for anywhere to hide myself as the steps grew closer.
Morbid
I had just
curiosity.
made the decision to flee the way I had come when the door opened. A short man with a bristling moustache walked out clutching a slip of paper that looked to be a prescription.
Okay.
He nodded at me curtly as he walked past and left through the front door without saying a word. I breathed a sigh of relief and looked down the corridor he had come from. It was darker than I expected. The light bulb had either blown or been turned off, and there didn't seem to be any windows to let in the faint glow of daylight. There was a staircase along one side, opposite a door labelled with Dr. Tillison's name, which I assumed to be her office.
Mm-hmm.
As I approached, I noticed a sizable crack in the wood below the staircase, and looking closer saw a small door to an understairs storage area. Opening it as quietly as I could, I saw it was empty and, judging by the dust, didn't look like it was ever used. I crawled inside and closed the door behind me, delighted to find that my suspicions had been correct. Through the crack in the wood, I had a clear view of the doctor's door and, I hoped, what was behind it. I didn't have to wait long to find out. A few minutes after I'd settled in my hiding place, I saw the office door open and Dr. Tillotson stepped out. She walked briskly into the waiting room and, after a few seconds of muffled conversation, led an elderly man back into her office.
She about to
She
fucking
entered first, leaving her patient
Sweeney
to close
Todd
the
him.
door behind him. He did not, and I was treated to a good view of her workplace. It was tiled, clean and shining, with a large brown leather examination table upon which
How
the old
convenient
man
that he didn't
perched
close
as
the
she
door.
hovered around him, poking, measuring, and asking questions I couldn't quite hear. There was a small sparse desk in one corner, a cabinet affixed to the wall that I assumed contained her medicines and equipment, and on the floor I could see a squat iron safe. I immediately knew that whatever fearful secrets drew me towards this doctor, they would be bound within that safe.
Oh, but of course they
I saw
would be.
nothing of importance that day, or the day after that when I snuck back into the same space. I haunted the cramped shadows.
People go to
beneath
jail
the
for this
gates
kind of
almost a
activity,
week before
Mary.
it
I hope you understand, Mary. I
As
need
always
you to
scheduled.
understand. I understand that you're now at some point in the future the victim of a murder, but I need you to also understand that people go to jail for that kind of tomfoolery. I didn't see anything of interest the several times I broke into the residence and stared menacingly at something that's meant to be a confidential meeting. Oh, girl. You are so lucky that the paranormal exists, otherwise you'd be in jail.
Be home and my mother would be there, but that wasn't difficult, and Dr. Tillotson never seemed to lock the door to her practice. I remember it was a Sunday,
She wants the
and the
audience.
summer had made my hiding place almost intolerably hot. It must have been almost as warm
Maybe
in the
that's a
office
sign to
as the
stop
doctor took
stalking.
to leaving the door open almost all day, allowing whatever draft might come to flow through the building. I saw her inspect and treat almost a dozen strangers over the course of the morning, but still, there was no hint of anything untoward. And shortly before she was due to close for the day, a short, matronly woman arrived. She had curly brown hair, seemed to be in perfect health, and smiled like a fool as she made her way into Dr. Tillotson's office.
Smiled like a
Doctor
fool!
pointed her pleasantly
Mary,
out.
you are the most judgmental grandmother I have ever met. Oh my god, you are such a bitch. I mean, it works for you, I guess, but like, I kind of get why Jared killed you. Because you're kind of an asshole. I mean, that's not a good enough reason to actually kill someone, and I do not vouch for murder. But I have a feeling that Mary does not approve of happiness. No, she fucking doesn't. How dare you? How dare you smile? What are you smiling for? You happy? Peh. Disgusting. She's like, not in my fucking household.
Up again, I caught the quickest glimpse of something cruel in her eyes, a certain predatory look.
Oh,
About
great.
10 minutes into the appointment, Dr. Tillotson walked over to her cabinet and retrieved a small syringe.
Oh, great.
She talked amiably to her patient as she sterilized the vein and pushed the needle inside. She kept chatting away as the plunger went down. She even kept talking in that low, friendly murmur as the woman with the curly brown hair began to convulse violently. Once.
Do you know what it is? I figured it out. It's when she says creepy shit, but her voice almost has like a childlike nature to it. You know, when they're children and they talk like this, and then the stranger got a knife, and you're like, creepy ass child, shut the fuck up. She's got that same energy, but she's old. I figured it out. And she's like, as the lady started to convulse and foam at the mouth. It's like, child, shut the fuck up. She's got that, but old lady version. She's got old lady child energy, and I don't like it. Everything about Mary disgusts me. I hate her voice, her attitude, it stinks. She hates happiness, and she's been a right bitch to my girl Gertrude. Just so you know, my friend just said I am ignoring the essays and hoping they write themselves, and honestly, I think that's fair. She does the voice for real. Like I do not believe for a fucking second that she actually speaks like that. There is not a chance in hell that she actually speaks like a literal baby. What the fuck? She creeps me out, bro. Again, I understand why Jared killed you. Because you're fucking weird, Mary. You're very unsettling. Like, incredibly unsettling. You do not need... I genuinely think that some people are born wrong. And Mary is one of them people.
Twice. And then she was dead. As I watched this, my heart was racing. I could lie and say that what I saw made me afraid, but I think we both know the thrill of watching that murder inspired a very different feeling within me.
Oh my god, you're
A
so...
dark, vicious thing that to this day I can't fully name.
Oh my
But
god,
it
you're
was
so weird.
beautiful and strange. Though what happened next was even stranger. Dr. Tillerson lifted the still warm body of her patient fully onto the table, before cutting through the fabric of the dress with a pair of shears, exposing an expanse of skin on the woman's back. Then she opened the safe. 24, 18, 3, 15, and then the key. I only had to watch her do it once. Inside I saw 2 books, one small and bound in leather, the other large and misshapen. As she retrieved the larger of the 2, she brushed away what looked like to be a small pile of animal bones and picked up a wickedly sharp-looking fountain pen.
I still don't really understand the bones thing. I understand that when you do a certain thing to lighten a book, it just spews out bones, like a really strange animatic from the 90s, but I still don't get... I don't understand. Is it just like a thing? Like it has nothing to do with the contents of the books? I thought with the bone turner's tale, I thought it was the bones that were stolen. But then that didn't make sense because Jared had like 20,000 bones because he's stolen everyone else's. Or Jared or whatever the bloody hell his name was. It started with a J, I think. How else? Yeah, just put them in a lightning book, bro. But I don't understand where they're coming from. Like, are they small animal? Because they also say they're animal bones. They're coming from Jared. Oh, are they really? Oh, great. Great. That's great. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe, yeah. I don't fucking know, bro. It's just, I don't know. No, I know I asked his name. It's yeah, Jared. But I just don't understand the bones. I don't know where the bones are coming from. I don't know if that's just like a quirky little thing, just another quirky little thing about lighter books. Like how how when you go to when you buy badges from Disneyland, like some bits spin or they smell like chocolate or something like that. Like I remember I got a chocolate frog pin from Disneyland or Universal Studios, and the actual the chocolate frog smells like chocolate, which is like a fun little extra thing, just to really add that pizzazz to the overly expensive pin that I bought. Like, is it just another one of those things? He's like, and in addition to earth-shattering curse and possibly the end of your life, you get bones. Is that what this is? Is that what this fucking is, Jurgen? I ain't even gonna call you by your whole fucking name. Also, I came up, speaking of names, I came up with one for not Sasha. It's called a Nasha. That way it's like Sasha, so I'm more likely to get it correct, but it's still different from Sasha. Nasha. Nasha is gonna catch these hands. Ay, 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 vey. Yeah, I don't know where the bones are coming from, and I don't know if I want to find out.
She leaned over the still form on the table and began to write, not in the book, but on the flesh of the woman she had killed.
Very
I could
nice.
see, even from my hiding place, her handwriting was cramped and messy, leaving some of the blue ink flowing off her subject like blood. After almost 20 minutes of hurried
The
writing,
actual
she
creature
stepped
is the
back.
not them, but we can cope with Nasha. Yeah.
She then retrieved a clean scalpel from her cabinet and, with a care she'd not given the writing, she began to cut through the dead woman's back, peeling away the skin upon which she had written and leaving behind a small patch of flayed flesh.
Oh,
She hung
lovely.
it, still dripping, upon a hook that I hadn't noticed on the wall. Then stepped over to the phone and made a call. The ambulance arrived so quickly I wondered if they'd been waiting for her. 3 men in the uniform of the London ambulance.
Time to make some more soft leather. Yeah, boy. Woo! Soft leather time. Yeah. Fucking hell. So I see I see Mary got inspiration from a strange doctor who also for some reason liked making skin books. What is these people's obsession with skin books? There are so many other creatures with skin that you can leatherify. Why? Why must it be human? I understand why. It's for the creepy factor. I get that, but like, they're soft though. I mean, yeah. I can't argue with that, I guess. I just... Fucking leather, man. I am never going to get over the leather. I don't know how this became like the joke of this show, of this series, but I will never get over the skin leather. I think it's because you were so shocked at the fact that I got it so fast, and I was like, listen, why would they give a shit enough to mention that the leather was soft if it wasn't actually leather? There is only one instance where people feel the need to be like, oh, this leather doesn't feel like leather. It's not leather! That's why! And now it's become a running joke that I can't seem to escape. Skin leather is everywhere. I can't avoid the skin leather. Here a leather, there a leather. Everywhere is skin fucking leather. Ah!
Sudden, bitter expressions and exchanged no words with Dr. Tillotson as they wrapped the woman in a body bag and took her outside. The doctor handed the oldest of them an envelope that I could
Let me guess, she's going to look through the crack and smile.
And they left.
Classic
I'm
act.
quite certain they never even went near the hospital. It was now dark outside, and I knew my mother would be worried, but I could not leave unnoticed. Nor did I want to while there was still a chance to watch more of this strange ritual. As the skin dried upon its hook, the doctor opened the large book, and I saw its thick pages were roughly stitched to the spine with coarse thread. As she turned those pages, they flopped with an unmistakable softness. She stopped at one page, seemingly at random, near the end of the book, and began to read aloud, her thin finger tracing the lines of text I could not see. As she spoke, I felt the air
Now
grow
the
thick
paper's
and
soft
heavier,
as well.
a scent like wet dirt rolling through the building and settling in my chest.
That is so vile. So not only have you desecrated a human by using their meat, their skin as leather, but you've also somehow managed to incorporate them into the fucking paper. Oh, sweet Jesus. Next, you're going to tell me that the thread you used was fucking intestines that have been stretched out, which is actually how they make violin strings back in the day. Fun fact. But it was made with cats, not humans, unless you particularly, murdery. Yeah, they used to like take the intestines and stretch those motherfuckers out until they became super thin. Using real paper destroys. This is more eco-friendly. Oh god. I mean, you're not wrong, but like, oh god. Imagine if that is actually the reason that they're using humans instead of trees. It's just like, I want it to be eco-friendly. So you flayed a human? Well, yeah, it's better for the trees. Oh, good God.
Don't know exactly when he appeared.
When who appeared?
In fact, even now, I'm still not able to pick up
When who appeared?
finger tracing the lines of budding and settling in my chest. I don't know exactly when he appeared. In fact, even now, I'm still not able to pinpoint the moment they arrived. Like
That's brilliant. Even fear entities hate climate change. That is quite the ad statement. Also, I tend to pick at my everything when I'm stressed, and I managed to completely destroy my eyebrow. So we're not going to talk about that. I now only have half an eyebrow on this side, so that's fun. I don't even know why I told you. You probably wouldn't have noticed otherwise. But yeah, just like, don't litter. Even fear-hated entities hate climate change. That would be a great slogan. That's the word I was looking for, slogan.
has simply happened already. The old man who now stood before Dr. Tillotson was familiar to me, even
Exactly.
though I didn't know his name.
Like, I was genuinely like, okay, I should probably stop now, and I just kept fucking going, and now I don't have an eyebrow. That is, you know what, that's fair. Oh yeah, because obviously, do you pick your like actual hair? Because I mean, I've never, but that's, to be fair, that's just because like I don't really. Do you know what it is? It's that these hairs, they come out so easily. They come out and they can feel them coming out, and it's very satisfying. And it shouldn't be satisfying. It should be unsettling, but it's not. Head cuts, what, like scabs on your scalp? That is incredibly unfortunate. Actually, I remember that. I remember have to remove the texture. That is, you know what, that's fair. That, do you know, it's probably it depends how low down you shave it. Because if you're shaving it all the way to the skin, then it might be like ingrown hairs. Or I don't know, honestly. I like that you capitalized though, because I absolutely understand. You have to remove the texture. Anything that has texture has to be taken off of my body. I need to feel like porcelain. If there is a single ridge, I will be removing it with a serrated knife.
One of her patients, I remember, had been taken away in an ambulance some 3 weeks before. There he stood, hunched and cowering. He spoke in a cracked voice, begging her to release him, demanding to know what was happening. In return, she was questioning him about his will, about his bank details, or where he had hidden money. I couldn't believe it. A power like this, and she was using it to try and make money. It sickened me.
Mary said, eat the rich. That's so funny. Although I do also agree that's a really stupid reason to do something fucked up. Like, do it because like you're cursed by Cthulhu or something. Don't do it because you want to avoid taxes. Like, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least make your reasoning as interesting as the bullshit that you're pulling off, you know? It's not hard. It's the least you could do. If you're going to kill people, at least kill them for a good reason.
It still does. I knew then that she didn't deserve the book. After she dismissed the old man, she collapsed into her desk chair, exhausted, and fell asleep. I took my father's straight razor from my pocket.
Why on earth?
It was my most prized possession.
Hang on. I understand that you're a bit fucked up, Mary, but why the fuck are you just walking around with a straight razor? Respectfully, that's not normal, brother. You do a lot of weird things, Mary. But you're fully walking around with a murder weapon. You're primed and prepped for genocide at any given moment. And maybe not genocide. Genocide's the wrong word. What's the word I'm looking for? Not murder. She comes from the Key family. What did you expect? I don't know, because her idiot father died. I don't know how he died. And the mother's working at the institute. So I don't know. I mean, I understand that the Key family's weird now, but I don't know what happened way back when in the day to make her this fucked up. I mean, Jesus Christ. I understand only having one parent can be kind of rough, but murder? Really? Walking around with a literal weapon? Darling. Why?
And all I had left of him after he used it to cut his own throat.
What?
The only sense.
I take back everything I said. Jesus Christ! He cut his own throat. I don't think people realize how hard it is to do that. Like, no, but I'm being serious. Like, everyone, I've seen it so many times in shows where people like take a blade and they go, "Do you understand how?" It's yeah. I mean, to be fair, it has a lot of value to her, I guess. I mean, it literally has his life on it. I mean, hopefully she's cleaned it so it doesn't physically have his life on it, but metaphorically speaking, his life is on that blade. But it's not that easy to cut your own neck. That is true. That is true. But even so, like, it's easier to stab yourself because that's just and then you're done. But a slicing motion, you have to put pressure on the whole time you're moving. And you therefore have to oppose, not you. Fucking hell. But then I don't even care what point I was trying to make. Not easy to make skin books. Jesus. God, fucking hell, what was I saying? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Skin books. Jesus.
The decision he ever made. I crawled from my hiding place so slowly, so quietly.
The only sensible decision he ever made. I'm sorry that I keep pausing it, but Mary keeps coming out with revelation after fucking revelation. Madam, what the fuck did your dad do for you to hate him so much? Why did he slit his own throat? And isn't it a little bit cruel to be like, that's the only sensible decision he ever made? Like, was he that bad of a father? Like, what was he? I mean, unless he was assaulting you, what the hell was he doing? Why do you hate him so much, Mary?
She barely even stirred as the blade glided through her windpipe. I'd never killed anyone before.
Oh, there it is again, that lovely baby old person voice.
My inclinations, predictably, were more toward watching than doing the deed myself.
Oh, you're one of them
There was
voyeurists.
some satisfaction in the act. I did try to bind her, but it didn't go quite right. And her page was a dreadful mess.
Bite her.
I can't imagine she enjoys it there at all. It took a lot more practice to get it right, not to mention learning Sanskrit. But I got there in the end.
Is Sanskrit a language?
After a lifetime, I know all its secrets, save one. And I have a pretty good idea about how to find that.
That does explain why you broke with the Institute. Who does the book come from?
The end, of course. I could never truly say.
Gertrude is seriously questioning why she ever took this job. She's like, that makes a lot of sense. Who does the book come from? Do I want to know? that is how I'm imagining Gertrude. Right. So I'm guessing that means the Key family is associated with the end, which I'm imagining is the fear entity of death.
I just don't find death that interesting, but I've always found a singular devotion far too restrictive. Just ask Eric, or what's left of him.
What about the other book? The smaller one?
Just a bit of viscera. Poems about dying animals, also in Sanskrit. Drops a lot of bones. I don't even think it has a real title. Pointless, really. I eventually sold it to Leitner.
You see, there's a delay between what you say and what they're saying. So I don't know what the hint is, because several very strange things were said between. You're so mean to me. I'm guessing Eric is her husband. I think oh my god, the little devil face on Instagram on Chrome is so more accurate to how I'm picturing your face. I can't explain why, but it's like it's really it's so pleased to be demising me. Okay. So the smaller one, just a bit of viscera. How does that make sense? How can a book be just a bit of viscera? I don't understand that. Like, because viscera is just kind of like the stringy, yucky stuff that connects all the bigger things in the body. It's just like gore. So I don't really understand how that can be a book. Oh, but I do. Okay. But she says that she's not serving the end. So I wonder, she says that she doesn't serve anyone in particular. But I wonder about Jared. I wonder who Jared serves. Because he obviously I mean, he might not serve anyone, but he obviously has got something to do with it. Because he's. Oh, is that the hint? Okay. That's good to know. I'm very intelligent, you see. But yeah. I don't know why she killed her husband. Clearly she did. Maybe she just she just really fucking likes doing it, so she just kept fucking doing it. Apparently the small book drops a lot of bones. You know, just another quirky little thing of a Leitner.
Though it came back to me after the attack.
What attack? Mary, you can't be dropping this much lore. It's been an hour and a quarter. I have to keep pausing because you keep saying things. Important things. You can't. Oh, my brain hurts. You can't do this, Mary. Mary, not only are you a bitch, you're exhausting.
I should really tell Elias about this.
By all means. He's not exactly big on action, though, is he? He'll just be happy I gave a statement.
And do you have any proof of this? Your magic book?
Here. You can keep this page. I made sure it was in English.
Who is it?
A surprise, dear.
Oh, God, yeah, fuck. Oh, my God, yeah, it's an... Oh. Oh, that's so unsettling. Who is it? Sweet Jesus. The flesh book. It's not even just bound in flesh. It is flesh. Everything about it is flesh. The tongue is being used as a bookkeeper. Like, so you don't lose your place in the book. Jesus H fucking Christ.
Sure you're alone when you read it. Goodbye, Gertrude. Wish me luck.
What do you need luck for, Mary? I don't know if I want to know.
Well, I don't really know what to add to that. If what she says is true, I should think carefully before reading this page aloud. I should probably destroy it. I do rather hate the smell of burning skin.
Why do you know what
Anyway,
burning skin smells
that's a
like,
decision for another
Gertrude?
day. I could rather do with a cup of tea, I think.
There's a lot here.
Oh,
In
that's...
many ways, the context.
I almost forgot what John sounded like. I've missed you, baby boy.
This gives Mary Key's odd relationship with death is the least interesting part of it. I knew that her family was connected to Jonah Magnus and the Institute somehow, but I had no idea that Gertrude was involved, even if they didn't like each other. Maybe I should have known. Elias might not have killed her, but there is a lot he's not telling me. I'm afraid to ask, though. The Magnus Institute is not what it appears to be, and until I know what it is and what it's for, there's no way I'm letting Elias know how much I'm aware of. But in spite of all that, I'm strangely excited, because what sticks out to me more than anything else in that tape is the very distinctive floorboard at the end. One that hasn't changed in the 8 years since this statement was given. There's never been any reason to look closely at a random section of floor. This bit wasn't even breached by any of the worms, because it had Gertrude's hidden compartment beneath it. No strange skin page, but there is a laptop and a key. I wonder what it opens. End supplement.
Oh my God! Do you know what's funny? It didn't even occur to me that I just thought that Mary was being indecisive. That's so ADHD in me. When there was that big weird ass pause between like her last and second to last statement, I just assumed she was kind of standing there aimlessly, like, the fuck should I do with myself? I mean, that was creepy as hell, because that's what I do. It didn't even occur to me that she could actually be doing something of significance. But obviously, John, ever the smart cookie baby boy that he is, he figured it out. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud that he has enough brain cells to come up with the logic like this. And I like the way he was like the way he said it was really funny to me. Hang on.
In spite of all that, hasn't changed in the 8 years since this statement was given. There's never been any reason to look closely at a random section of floor. This bit wasn't even breached by any of the worms, because it had Gertrude's hidden compartment beneath it.
The way he says it, he's like, because it had Gertrude's hidden compartment beneath it. I'm like, yeah, it did, John. Good job. The voice, for real. You can just tell that he's so fucking pleased with himself. He's like, you're damn right. I'm a sleuth. I'm sleuthing. Also, I just realized that because I always manage to leave the podcast before the ending comes on, I've never actually listened to the canonical, the Magnus Archives is licensed under a Creative Commons International 4.0 license or whatever it is that everyone always says. But it's like, not at my head archivist of the Magnus Archives is a podcast distributed by rustyquill.com and licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share Alike 4.0 International License. Which is how everyone always describes it for some reason. Obviously it's like the funny of it, but I've never listened to it, so that was quite amusing to me. I wonder what it opens. Yeah, what does the key open? That is, ooh, how exciting! Share Alike license, my beloved. Oh yes. Oh God, no. The next one's called End of the Tunnel. Oh, sweet Jesus. Well. I don't know what I want. I want breadsticks, that's what I want. I'll be right back. My little fat ass wants breadsticks. Okay. Whew. Reading the titles of these episodes actually scares the shit out of me sometimes because it's just, they're very unnerving. Right. End of the tunnel. Jesus.
AI might be the most important innovation ever.
Really?
Hi everyone, Ben here. Episode 63. The end of the tunnel.
It's like the longest title we've ever had. So loud. I really hoped that they would quiet it down as time went past, but clearly not.
Statement of Erin Gallagher Nelson regarding an urban exploration trip beneath St. Paul's Church, West Hackney. Original statement given March 31st, 2014. Audio recording by Jonathan Sims, Head Archivist of the Magnus Institute, London. Statement begins. I'm sure you know what urban exploring is. I'm sure you've had plenty of amateur yahoos in here who stumble across a ghost in some old factory, so I'll spare you the breakdown of how it works. And if you don't know what it is, well, the internet's a thing. I'm about as close to a professional as you can get out of what's basically trespass as a sport. I work as a photographer, and if I play my cards right, I can get more money from an abandoned pump station than from shooting some spoiled human Barbie for Self-Hate Monthly or whatever. It's always been me and Luke Nelson. He was my wife's brother and did all the lighting for our shoots. At least until he was eaten by the darkness last week. That's why I'm here, because I didn't dream that. It happened. I don't...
Eaten by the darkness! You can't just come out with something like that. I was in the middle of a breadstick as well. I had to wait patiently before I could have this outburst. As darkness does, just casually. Like the sky. The sky eats people. Darkness eats people. The fog eats people. People eat people. It's just the world we live in.
Care what Steph says. I don't need to talk to a shrink.
Anything
I
can
need
be.
to talk to you. We were underneath St. Paul's Church in West Hackney.
Okay, so the darkness ain't your
Makes you
brother-in-law.
wonder about
Okay.
God's housing standards.
Fine.
I mean, I'm just saying, if it was my house, I'd be pretty pissed. Still, I guess if he didn't want it, he should have protected its predecessor from Nazi bombs. Because St. Paul's...
Wait, what? Horrid boxy building makes you wonder about God's housing standards.
used to be St. James before it got blitzed all the way to rubble. Everyone always forgets how much London is under London.
Mm.
I mean, it's not as bad as somewhere like Edinburgh, where they literally buried half the city and built a new one on top. But some places, it's not too far from it.
Mm.
And I've been doing a lot of research into St. Paul's that used to be St. James, because it looked like it might be exactly one such place. Plans of the drainage and underground of the neighbourhood.
So you're a
seems to
subterranean
indicate that there was a
urban
large
explorer.
subterranean area directly beneath St. Paul's that appeared to be avoided by all public works. Yet the plans for the modern church didn't indicate anything below ground level. What this told me was that the old Church of St. James probably had quite a sizable underground presence, which hadn't been completely destroyed by the bombs, and which its inheritor didn't use. Early to mid-19th century Victorian vaults, undisturbed for 70 years, it was exactly the sort of thing that's in vogue at the moment with a certain section of arty magazines, and I was sure I could sell a few to Getty and a handful of other stock photo sites. And hey, it wasn't like I hadn't broken into a church before. Luckily, St. Paul's West Hackney was Church of England.
Wait, so he takes pictures and then sells them?
Catholic churches can be a real pain,
That's fair.
as they actually have
I
some
said that like
valuables
that's
inside that
not
need to be
a valid
protected. But
profession.
this, like most of
It is.
was plain and unadorned inside. So while they took plenty of care with the offices, they weren't so conscientious about locking up the main church building, as quite frankly there was nothing to steal. Unless you like hymn books. It took me and Luke less than a minute to get inside. It was last Tuesday, the 25th. I suppose
so
technically it was Wednesday the 26th, as it was well past midnight when we made our move. Once we were in, we kept our torches low, stowed our equipment, and went looking for anything that might get us deeper inside.
Mm-hmm.
At first it looked like we might have been mistaken and there was no way beneath. But then Luke spotted what looked like a removable panel in the floor, just off to the right of what passed for a podium.
Mm.
It was heavier than it looked, but after a bit of work with the crowbar, it came off. It didn't look like it had been removed in decades, maybe not since the new church was built. But what surprised me was the air that came out when it shifted. It hissed like a long-held breath, and the air that rose up from that hole was icy cold and damp. Not unexpected, but what did surprise me was how clean it smelled. Like an autumn night after the rain. There was no ladder or stairs down, but we brought plenty of rope, so in we went. The gloom seemed to swallow us.
That's normally a sign that it's in
physically
use.
pressing against me. As it turned out, it was only a couple of meters down to the floor of the underground tunnel, and our flashlights showed exactly what I had hoped for. Old Victorian brickwork.
Ooh.
The passage stretching away from us in both directions was absolutely perfect, and I wasted no time in setting up a few shots while Luke placed the lighting rigs. Down there, the flashes seemed almost blinding, but I was sure I was getting some excellent shots. It was only when I had a quick glance through them on the screen of my SLR that I began to get irritated. Clearly, Luke had been standing in front of the light when I had started to shoot. In every single image, where the far wall was lit by the bright lights, you could see the clear shape of a person's shadow. I got into quite an argument with Luke about it. He insisted that he'd never make such a rookie move. I told him that he could argue with me, but not with the camera. Eventually, he stormed off to go exploring further on.
Oh, that's so creepy. Oh, fuck. That's so creepy. There's just a shadow of a person. Oh, God. Oh, God, it's going to eat you. Sweet Jesus.
Before I followed him, the shadow was still there.
Oh!
It seemed to be ever so slightly closer. I don't know why I ignored it. The human mind is amazingly adept at ignoring things that don't make sense.
That is very
it doesn't
true.
want to see.
That's very
I
fucking
convinced
true.
myself it was a quirk of the angles at that location. I didn't even let myself entertain the thought that it could be a problem with my extremely expensive camera, so I definitely didn't consider the possibility of a supernatural explanation. I followed Luke further on, until after about 20 minutes, we came to the ruins of a chamber of some sort.
Where's your wife
The
in all
roof had
this? Or
collapsed,
does she not come with
probably
you?
from the bombing that had destroyed St. James Church, and the rubble blocked off most of it.
Brother-in-law bonding.
It looked like it had once been a circular room. On either side of the entrance, I could see doorways blocked with fallen stone. There was no way we'd be able to shift enough debris to access them, but it was strange. As the torch beams played across them, even with most of them completely covered in collapsed masonry, they still didn't seem as dark as the corridor we'd come from.
Oh, gee whiz.
I took some photos. The composition of the place was excellent, and the blocked doorways had an odd sort of stark grandeur to them.
That's fair.
They were certainly well made if they managed to survive what looked to be a direct hit by a German bomb. I checked the photos, and there were no shadows, which was something of a relief. We headed back the other way. When we reached our ropes hanging down from the hole above us, Luke started to have some concerns. Well, I say concerns. He wanted out of there. He wanted us to pack up and climb out and leave, telling me he was getting weird vibes from the place and was trying to convince me we'd seen enough. Looking up at that bright square, lit invitingly with the moon shining through church windows, I was half tempted to agree with him. The trouble was that due to the problems with the first shoot, I had one, maybe two pictures of a quality I could do anything with, and that wasn't nearly enough. I told him bluntly that I didn't have enough, and if I didn't get paid, he didn't get paid.
Okay.
I saw the conflict on his face. He wanted to get out of there, sure, but apparently not as much as he wanted to make rent. So, on we went.
Oh, what a life we
Further
live,
into
hey?
the tunnel. I don't know how far we went. I stopped every 10 meters or so to set up and try to get a good picture, but the shadows were back and worse than before. Now there'd be 2 or 3 of them in some pictures. It wasn't quite as clearly a human silhouette, so I managed to tell myself that it must be a quirk of how the tunnel reflected the light, even though looking back that
Yes,
makes
because
no
this
sense
tunnel
whatsoever.
is just so quirky.
Still, I
Yeah.
kept going, hoping to find
Mhm.
somewhere where I could get some shots of the stark,
Your
gloomy
arrogance and
tunnel with
ignorance
bricks
is so
black
beautiful.
they almost looked like coal. We'd move, set up, shoot, check, and then I'd swear at my camera. I don't know how many times we did this. Luke got jumpier and jumpier the whole way. Didn't feel like much more than 10 minutes we'd been doing it, but when I checked my watch, we'd been down there for almost 2 hours.
Time's a
We
funny
had finally
thing.
come to the end of the path, and it was just that, an end. A blank wall of bricks, indicating the stopping of the tunnel that seems to go under a good deal of hackney. At this point, I at last decided to write the whole thing off and head back. It was as I turned to Luke to tell him this that my torch died.
Oh, fuck
There was no
off.
fanfare. It just fizzled for a second, then turned off with a faint pop.
Oh my
I looked
god.
to Luke about to ask him to pass me the spare batteries when I saw his face. I don't think I've ever seen anyone as scared as he was at that moment. Then his torch went out as well, and there was nothing but darkness.
I need to
I
buy a
could hear
good
him
torch.
fumbling for something that I assumed were the camera lights, and a second later, I heard the click, click, click of him trying to turn them on.
Oh god.
Nothing happened. He kept clicking the switches on, and I could feel his desperation, but we were still trapped in the pitch black. Eventually he stopped, and we just stood there. I wanted to say something reassuring, to reach out and let him know I was still there, but I was terrified of breaking the silence.
I would have broke the silence by
It
now.
was
Fuck
just
the
his
paranormal.
breathing, laboured and scared. I became aware of my own breath, quick and betraying the panic I was trying to pretend I wasn't feeling. And then I heard it. The third sound.
Oh god.
It was quiet at first. Long.
No. Oh fuck off. No, that's so bad. Oh sweet Jesus. No. Nuh-uh. Fuck off, mate. A third set of fucking breathing, bro. No. That's horrid. It's just it's I oh it's just that Jesus poem about footsteps on the beach. I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand. I'm too frazzled. Sweet Jesus. Oh, no, but just imagine it's completely pitch black. You can't see anything. And then suddenly you hear another set of breathing. That is terrifying. That is. But also, I would never put myself in a situation like this because I'm not a fucking idiot. Everyone knows that you pack extra torches. Although it does seem like it's not his fault that the torch is not working. But that's why you bring a lighter. I have like 12 lighters. I've never needed a lighter in my life, and yet I have so very many. Most of them are empty, though. Don't know why. I must have used them. Oh, I used to burn incense, that's why. And I also used to try and fix my candles by melting the wax around the edges, and then I would end up overheating the lighter, and then it would melt into itself and refuse to light ever again. So I have a lot of broken lighters. I should correct. Revision of previous statement. I have a lot of broken lighters. I should probably do something about that. I say as if I'm ever going to need a lighter. What are the chances of an apocalypse actually happening? This is the thing. When I listen to shit like this, I'm like, I should be preparing. I'm like, for what? For what? What are you preparing for, darling? Like, you're not preparing. You're not going to leave the house. Okay? It's not going to happen. I should probably have more canned food than I do, though. It's just, I just want... But anyway, yeah, I don't know the Jesus poem about footsteps on the beach. I don't know if I'm just being really stupid, but I don't understand the reference.
Oh, very deliberate. The more I listened, the louder it seemed to become, as though whoever was down here with us was making sure we could hear it.
That's so gross.
And then another set of breaths joined it, deep and throaty. And
There's...
a fifth, a sixth, then more. We were surrounded on all sides by the sound of breathing, getting louder.
Oh, that's horrible.
Closer. Luke let out a small whimper, and altogether they stopped. In their place there came a scraping sound, something metal that sounded like being dragged across the bricks. Far away behind us, but getting closer and fast. It was joined by a heavy thumping tread, footsteps coming towards us, rhythmic and unhurried.
Oh.
I almost thought it could be my heartbeat, pounding in my ears, but the echo assured me it was coming from down the tunnel. Then the scraping came again, now from the other direction, and I sank to the floor, clutching my camera to my chest like some sort of protective talisman. It was silent, once again. The noise that broke the stillness this time is the one that is still ringing in my ears. It was far more dreadful than the others because of how familiar it was.
Oh, God.
I had never heard it in such a manner before. It was Luke's voice, and it was screaming in agony. A shrill, gut-wrenching screech of pain and fear that wiped away all thought in a second and replaced it with blind panic. I wanted to run, but my legs had locked up. Somewhere in my mind, I remembered the flash on my camera, and my fingers instinctively flipped the switch. As I pressed the button, the screaming stopped with a wet snap. And for the worst moment of my life, an explosion of light shot through the darkness. I saw Luke hanging in the air. There was nobody around him, but on the wall, in stark black outlines, I saw two long, thin shadows standing beside him. On each, I saw one spindly arm gripping his shadow by the shoulders, while the other held up the shadow of his torn-off head. In front of me, the real one just hung there, dangling as if by some invisible thread, blood dripping onto the body below it. His eyes were staring at me, as though pleading for my feeble, flashing camera to save him. I screamed. The next thing I remember was the painfully bright light of a dozen torches on my face. It was the rector of St. Paul's, and a small group of what I assumed to be parishioners. He didn't say a word as he gently led me back towards the entrance. I looked around to see if Luke's body was there, but I knew deep down that the darkness had eaten him. He was gone. The rector was very understanding, though I wasn't making much sense. He spoke soft words of reassurance, brought me out into the sick, pale blue of dawn, and called an ambulance to look me over. I didn't get his name, and it was only after I'd reached the hospital I realized he had taken my camera. Since then, I've been under observation in the hospital. Nobody listens to my story, and Luke has been officially listed as missing.
He stole the
Steph
camera.
has been very supportive, but I can...
What was on that photo? Oh my god. Okay, so I need to read the transcript just because I want to make sure I'm understanding the visual. Because yee. Where is it? Okay. There was nobody around him, but on the wall, in stark black outlines, I saw two long, thin shadows standing beside him. On each, I saw one spindly arm gripping his shadow by the shoulders, whilst the other Can shadows be 3D? I swear they can't be. I don't know. Other one held up the shadow of his torn off head. In front of me, the real one just hung there, dangling as if by some invisible thread. Blood. Okay, so the head is just like floating above the body. It's detached, but it's just like above. That's so creepy. That is so creepy. Oh my god, that's so good. That is so good. This is probably one of my favorite. That imagery, the gore. That's good. That's good. I like it. Damn. Oh my god. All right, so this is how we deal with the dark flash photography. That seems to be the method of attack. They don't like that shit. And then he stole his fucking camera. To be fair, though, I can kind of get why.
See the pain in her eyes. She knows I was the last one to see her brother. Nobody listens to my story, and Luke has been officially listed as missing. Steph has been very supportive, but I can see the pain in her eyes. She knows I was the last one to see her brother, and it eats at her. I don't really know what to do now, except to keep the lights on. Statement ends. It should come as no surprise to me by now that the foundation stone of the original Church of St. James in West Hackney was laid on the 17th November, 1821, by Sir Robert Smirk.
Oh, you wanker!
At least one architect.
This architect knows no bounds. He is the Jürgen Leitner of architecture. Jesus Criminy Chrysler.
Oddity lurking beneath the streets of London that did not bear the mark of him or his students. This particular encounter doesn't seem to have much in common with manifestations from similar buildings. We've had something of a spectrum from him and his ilk. Cobwebs, entombing, difficulty in navigation, and now a violent, murderous dark. My first thought was the People's Church of the Divine Host, as they seem to have some affinity to the darkness, but I can find no connection of any sort between them and the West Hackney Church. Not that any of the staff there were very helpful. Every one of them claims to have no memory of encountering Ms. Gallagher-Nelson, despite hospital admission records clearly stating she was picked up from there on the morning of the 26th March 2014. Tim is convinced that at least some of them are lying, but there's little we can do to gain any information they don't wish to volunteer. We've been unable to follow up with Ms. Gallagher-Nelson. All attempts to contact her have been prevented by her wife, Stephanie Gallagher-Nelson, who has made it abundantly clear that we are not welcome and are to attempt no further contact. Luke Nelson remains missing. End recording.
Supplemental.
Supplemental. Attempting to access Gertrude's laptop, but have thus far had no luck.
Oh.
None of the obvious passwords I've tried have been successful, and I'm unsure who can provide both assistance and discretion. There may be further clues on the other tapes, but so far I've had no word from Becerra. I'm so close to finding something. Maybe I should just go down.
Excuse me, do you have a moment?
Mr. King, how did you get in?
The new girl let me in. Are you all right?
Who? He sounds really fucking frantic. Who's Miss King again? I can't remember who. Oh, Ghost Hunter.
Mr. King, how did you get in?
The new girl let me in. Are you all right?
Sorry?
You look like hell.
It's been a hard few months. Look, can I help you? Because if you're just after another shouting match...
No, I actually do need your help.
Interesting.
I'm so sorry, that was gross. You could see my food. Oh my god, that was so funny. Interesting. Oh my god. John is such a little snark. Man said, I may be delusional, but I didn't come asking for your help. Bitch. I do. Oh my god.
Not be an asshole about it. I just need access to your library.
So talk to Diana. She runs the place.
Yes, I don't exactly have the academic credentials you guys demand. So I apparently need someone to vouch for me. And you're basically the closest thing I have to a friend here.
We'd spoken once and we ended up screaming at each other.
Yes, and that's more than I have with anyone else here. Also, Georgie actually has some nice things to say about you.
Oh.
That came as a surprise. You didn't even tell me you knew her.
It was a long time ago.
Who the fuck is Georgie?
Doing What the Ghost. It's a surprise to me as well, to be honest. We didn't exactly part on the best of terms.
Oh.
What exactly do you need from us anyway? Can't your...
Heart. She your girlfriend. Is she your girlfriend, John? Do you have a little, you know? Has Georgie come up before? Both. Oh, fuck. Shit. No, she hasn't. Okay, thank fucking God. Melanie. I'm probably spelling that wrong. Melanie King. She does What the Ghost, did you say? Ghost Hunter show. I like that they just casually mentioned Georgie as if we would know who the fuck she is. I'm like, who on earth is Georgie? Georgie. It's a lovely name. I do like the name Georgie. Hosts What the Ghost? Beautiful. Melanie But they're different Hunter shows. Are they like the two shows? Are they different shows? Is it an actual thing? Oh. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But they're like buddy pal chums because like they're both in the ghost realm. I'm imagining. Melanie King does not get on with John, but for some reason still considers him a friend. Icon.
Showbiz friends help you.
No, I'm. Most of them won't talk.
They are indeed buddy pal chums. Good. I like a good buddy pal chum.
To me anymore.
What happened? Did word get out that you'd given a statement to us? Or was it credulous idiot?
Not exactly. Look, in my business, your reputation is all that you have. The industry is mainly full of skeptics, pretending to be believers, pretending to be
I think
skeptics.
the word you're looking for is charlatan.
Can you not?
I think the word you're looking for is charlatans. John is such a bitch. I love him. Oh, Melanie. Also, I like that Melanie just rocked in here. Like, she fully just... Sup, bitch. Let me in the library, yeah? John has very strange acquaintances, doesn't he?
Please. I'm trying to... Look, Ghost Hunt UK split up. I mean, not formally, but, well, you know, Pete was always a flake to begin with, and the others just drifted away.
I'm sorry to hear that. I noticed you weren't updating him.
I tried to get a new crew together, but it was tough. I took to going on expeditions solo, but I don't really have the skills to get usable footage. I saw a few weird things. Then I got arrested.
Go on.
Yes, I broke into the train graveyard up near Rotherham, got picked up by security, and I wasn't doing well. When I was being thrown out, some late-night dog walker got a video of me screaming at them about ghosts. When it went online...
Your all-important professional reputation went with it.
Oh.
Yes. Look, I have leads that I really need to follow up, but as far as my colleagues are concerned, these days I'm the ghost.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
John!
do know what it's like to lack the respect of your peers.
Oh, John! John, no! I mean, it's your fault, John, but oh, John! It's your fault because, like, you did accuse them all of murder, but also, John, baby boy, it's okay. This is the thing. I am a toxic mother. Oh my God, I'm a toxic mother. I'm that, you know, those mums who are like, oh, my baby precious boy would never do anything like that. And what their baby precious boy didn't do was like carve a Nazi symbol into someone's forehead because they're just actual psychopaths, but their mothers refuse to believe it. That is me with male characters for some reason. I'm like, no, my baby precious boy, he doesn't deserve this, even though he totally does. He accused him of murder. I mean, I can excuse a lot of shit. I don't know if I can excuse that per se. But
I'll have a word with Diana, see if I can get you into the library.
Thank you. Seriously. Now, how do I get out of this place?
Oh, Sasha can show you out.
Sasha?
Yes, she should be around.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! The new girl was Nasha! Ah! you justify what some? I will. I will. My favorite, my most incredible. I'm still not over the Nasha thing. I'm so excited. Something's about to go fucking down. Woo! It took me a minute, but when she went Sasha, I was like, ah! And then I realized, oh shit, new girl. There ain't no new girl. Well, there is, because that's not Sasha. Sorry, okay. I need to calm down before I start having heart palpitations, which is a genuine thing that could possibly happen because of all the medication I'm on. Woo! Okay. I'm breathing like a normal person. I'm very normal about this. I'm so normal about this. The best example I can give of me justifying absolutely unjustifiable behavior is actually from Call of Duty, which is there's a scene where Ghost is got a blowtorch and he's about to torture someone, and it's like he literally tortured people, and it's like, God forbid my wife has hobbies. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of me. I would justify let a man have his hobbies. He might be torturing people, but it's fine. Yeah, I will find ways to justify everything. Gaslight gatekeep girl boss. Ah.
Right. Well,
Yes, she should be around here somewhere. Oh, Sasha can show you out.
Sasha?
Yes, she should be around here somewhere.
Oh, right. Well, let me know about the library, okay?
Will do. What a strange woman. And supplemental.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Nasha, we're coming for you. Ah! This is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for someone who was here before she got nashered, and to then come back and be like, that ain't Sasha. Don't know what you're talking about, but that's not Sasha. I like that she said new girl, and John is so not in his right state of mind that he just completely straight over his fucking skull. Also, I really like how John makes friends. I feel like the way he makes friends is so ridiculous, because look at how he's made friends. Silly. Also, why is Bashir not answering him? I'm so sad. The new girl let me in. Are you all right? Sorry. You look like hell. It's been a hard few months. Look, can I help you? The man. I'm his friend. I'm not that delusional, I promise. No, you're right. I shouldn't really say friends. I should say people that are willing to put up with his insanity. I feel like that's a little more accurate. I think Martin likes him. I think Martin really likes him. But oh, I just want him to stop burning bridges. Like, he was in research with Tim, and now they're not friends anymore, and it's sad. I want them to be buddy chum pals. I want an office rendition of these four. I need an office rendition of these four. I need to see the bullshit pranks that Tim pulls on everyone. I need to see Sasha being the only common sense, who is the only one with the brain cell of the collective four. I need to see John's dehydrated mania moments, because those were just, I don't know if you've heard, it's like you're not ascending to godhood, you're just dehydrated. Out of my way, gay boy! I'm about to liberate myself from this mortal shell into my divine realm. And then they like fall on the floor. They hospital, because they're so dehydrated. Hospital. How's the work going? That's brilliant. No, what you need to do is you need to copy it into your notes. Send it to me when it's no longer a spoiler. Just save it to your notes and show it to me later. Because you don't want to forget it. If it's that good that you had to tell me, then you don't want to forget it. But I don't want to get spoiled, so this is the compromise.
Interesting.
I can't get over how he says interesting is so funny to me.
I actually do need your help.
Interesting.
All right.
Interesting. Actual asshole. Brilliant. Anyway, yeah, that's what you should do. You should save the joke to your notes and then show it to me when it's no longer a spoiler. How long until it's no longer a spoiler, I wonder? Because we're on episode 63. We have 17 more episodes until the end of season 2. Oh my god. This season's going so much slower. I'm like... But also, I'm having such a good time. I'm having such a good time with it. Do you know what? I just want John to have a friend. He needs one friend. Just one. He needs something. And you know, I feel like a lot of this is based off of the fact that I have found that there is only one fan fiction that I have found that doesn't have spoilers. That's because you want things to happen quickly now that there's plot. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm like, give me more. I have an addictive personality. Give me that shit. I inject it into my veins.
Make me join them in the graveyard.
Like, come on. My voice is a little...
Let me join them. Let me join them.
There we go. I did it. There we go. It was annoying me that I couldn't quite get it. It wasn't coming out my throat right. Do you know what it is? It's when if I don't have anything like built up here, then it won't come out properly. It comes out all instead of like really deep and gravelly. You really ought to go back. Yeah, I guess. But before I do, I'm now on marking. Ooh, I don't know what that means, but good job, darling. All right, I will talk through what I'm going to do, so then at least I can listen back to this and have, because talking helps me. I forgot that I said I was going to do work. I've doomed myself to failure, haven't I? Okay, so I am going to ignore the vignette because I can defer the vignette. I can't defer the presentation. So I'm until I actually know what the fuck's going on with the vignette, they will not be getting any effort out of me. So instead, I'm going to work on my presentation. And to be honest, I think the first thing I would need to do for that, because I know the stuff that they want me to include in it, but then it would be a matter of almost storyboarding it. I don't know if I ever showed you my EPQ presentation, or at least my plannings for making the EPQ presentation. I don't know if I ever did that, but essentially I just need to do that because I did really well on that. And I am very good at making very cool presentations. So I think, honestly, I will probably enjoy making this. And I think it's probably the better move than to sit here and desperately try and figure out how to write a fucking vignette. Okay, so first of all, I will have to introduce like the area that I'm researching in. So that would be things like discussing what 22q11.2 deletion syndrome is, talking about sleep cycles and all of that stuff, which is all stuff I can do pretty easily. And then I would need to talk about because essentially when they have the long axon of the chromosome deleted, I mean, to be honest, they have a lot of issues. Some of them are like physical abnormalities, like cleft palatal abnormalities, hyperthyroidism, but also hypothyroidism. Like they have both too much and not enough at the same time. It's a whole thing. Facial abnormalities, immune system issues. Like they've got a lot of problems. But in addition to that, they also have a higher propensity for intellectual disabilities and psychosis or psychotic conditions like schizophrenia. In fact, having DeGeorge syndrome, which is the slang version of saying 2QQ11.2, is actually the highest risk factor for schizophrenia. If you have, like, essentially it's a 50-50 chance. If you have DeGeorge, there's a very high chance that you're going to develop schizophrenia. And in addition to that, they also have chronically dysfunctional sleep patterns in the form of insomnia and restless sleep. So what we're looking at is how we're going to look at EEG data of their sleep cycles in contrast to their unaffected siblings. Now, whilst that's all good and well, by looking at just the EEG, we're not actually establishing any sort of causality, because EEG data can only provide us with a representation of functional connectivity, which is great because it shows us which areas of the brains are involved in similar activities, but that does not tell us how they're involved with each other. Is it that activity in area A instigates area B? Is it that area B does something and that then makes area A work? Or is it some sort of self-fulfilling cycle where one starts and that makes the other one start, and because that one's starting, this one starts working more and more, and it becomes a self-improving like cycle of activity that eventually then tapers out. We can't establish that from functional connectivity, but what we can do with EEG is we can use the data in addition with mathematical modeling to establish what is known as effective connectivity, which is essentially directional causality, which is exactly what we want to know. Because if we can figure out how exactly their brain activity, the chain of events that occurs, is different from people without the chromosome deficiency, and also therefore is why they have a higher risk, then we can actually have a much better understanding of what puts people at risk of developing psychosis. And that is then something that we can apply to other people, because we'll actually know which areas of the brain's activity that leads to this, and that's something that we don't know right now. And so then that's where dynamical causal modeling comes in. And DCM is, well, it's essentially, it uses a state space model to to essentially graph out the temporal activity in various cell populations, and the strength of this activity, you know, its reaction over time, you know. I could also probably go into the history of it as well. I won't go into it now, but there is some history behind it, like how the base model was sort of invented. So I could probably go into it. Depends how long I have to talk about this. And then, because once you figure out, so once you've got this equation, right, which this massive differential equation, you can then plot this differential equation on a graph, and the output is similar to that of an EEG. And then what you can do is you can compare the two outputs, essentially see where they differ, and then adjust the parameters of your model accordingly until eventually the output is relatively similar to that of the EEG. At which point you can reasonably assume that you have accurately modeled the effective connectivity of the brain during that time period, which is incredibly useful information to have. Fortunately, we don't have to do this all by hand. We have MATLAB to do that for us. But what we are going to do, or what is being done, is we are taking sleep EEG data from kids with DiGeorge syndrome and their unaffected siblings, and we are going to, first of all, create a generalized sleep cycle model, which can then be applied to future EEG data, sleep EEG data. If they choose to do dynamical causal modeling, they can use ours as a baseline. Be like, this is what an average, this is the model of an average 8-hour sleep cycle of someone who is, you know, of normal body and mind, whatever, which will be hugely beneficial. But in addition to that, we can look at the direct differences between them and their siblings. We can see where the parameters are different, which cell populations have different levels of activity at different times. And we can come to the conclusion that that difference is what puts them at a greater risk compared to their unaffected siblings. And it'll also tell us, hopefully, which neurotransmitters are particularly important, things like GABA, AMPA, MDMA, NDMA. And if any particular one demonstrates a significant importance to their higher risk, then that then has implications for things like treatment. Because if, like, let's say, for example, that they have a massive deficiency in GABA A, well, then medications which help boost GABA A, that is exactly what they'll need, and that will help them with their symptoms. That's incredibly useful. Obviously, that's a very simplified outcome, but that is the kind of information that we can get from this. The only thing we can't definitively get from this research is we can't definitively say that those differences are what cause them to develop schizophrenia. We can only say that it's what causes them to be at 40% risk of developing schizophrenia. But that's the way we would be able to make that further step is to do a follow-up study, a follow-up longitudinal study where we essentially stay in touch with these kids for the next 5-10 years or so, and essentially see which ones of them do develop schizophrenia, which ones of them don't, and then compare those two groups in terms of sleep EEG. So compare the ones with DiGeorge syndrome that didn't develop schizophrenia to the ones that did, And at that point, the differences between their sleep patterns, then we would be able to definitively say those differences are what caused these ones to develop schizophrenia and these ones not to. Obviously, that's later on, but that is something that we hope to do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any predicted outcomes, but because I'm not really sure what we're expecting to find, but what I think we're going to find based off of previous research is I think we're going to find that cell populations, that there's some sort of disruption in activity between cell populations, between stage, it's called N3 sleep. It's just a different stage. It's one of the stages of sleep. In N3 sleep, I think some sort of dysregularity in cell population activity will be present there. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know which like receptors will be responsible for this, but I have a feeling it could potentially be overactivity of GABA A, which is an inhibitor, which essentially stops activity. I think there'll be dysfunction there, which then results in a lack of normal activity in N3 sleep. But that being said, that's coming from a very like baseline understanding. I mean, I do have a good understanding of it, but at the same time, I'm also not a specialist. I don't understand all of them particularly well, so that's just what I think is going to happen. But also, I think that we're going to see that they, on average, have fewer hours of like deep sleep. Whilst we don't need dynamic causal modeling to find that, I do think that will have a significant contributing factor, especially if they have disruption during REM sleep, because REM sleep is the state. REM sleep stands for rapid eye movement, so back and forth. It's how your brain processes. I can't remember what we did in A levels and what we didn't, so I'm just going to assume you don't know anything. I'm sorry. Yeah, so during REM sleep, that's when we're processing memories and information. That's when we're dreaming. And so it's very important for cognitive processing, because it's how your brain gets rid of all the sensory rubbish, all of those unnecessary extra details of the day, because it's those finer details that you don't necessarily need for the memory, but they take up space, and your brain has to kind of cleanse itself of all of that, and that's what it does during REM sleep. So it's possible that they may demonstrate some sort of disruption during REM sleep, though I don't think that's consistent with what we found in previous research, because the previous research to this was looking at things like sleep spindles, which I won't explain and that's not what I'm looking at, but that's what they looked at. It's just it's a certain activity pattern on EEGs. And when you don't have them, that's not good. You're meant to have them at certain times, and if you don't, then that's dysregular. But I do remember off the top of my head that we found disrupted N3 sleep. So the implications for this is developing a better understanding of the association between the George syndrome, sleep cycles, and psychosis, in addition to potentially providing a foundation for future dynamic causal modeling research looking at sleep EEG data, as we're hoping to provide like a baseline they can use.
From Instagram, OSIS JPG log. Sorry, being summoned downstairs, we'll have to dip. Your research sounds super cool though. Keep presentation planning.
Okay, thank you, darling. Have fun downstairs. Yeah, that's basically it, though, to be honest. There are obviously extra details. Like, for example, when it comes to deciding which neurotransmitters we're going to include in our research, we're planning on using a I have the name for it on the top of my head, but I can't remember it now. Everything just got really fucking slow. I'm holding the thought in my brain hole, but I want to get the word down before I forget. Lord of mercy, everything's breaking. Okay. This took me a minute to find, but I found it. Okay. It's I believe it's model complexity reduction. Which is essentially I want to try and find out which neurotransmitters I want to include as few neurotransmitters as possible while still explaining as much of the data as possible. Because, for example, if there's a particular neurotransmitter that only explains like 1% of the change in activity, then it's not worth keeping it in, because they won't all have an equal footing. Some of them will be more important than others. And that's what I want to establish. I want to only include the ones that are incredibly important, and thus try and keep the model as simple as possible. And we'll also be using Bayesian model selection for something else that I can't remember. Okay. I just got real tired. I think my pills just wore off. Yeah, that's what happened. So I'm going to. I don't really like leaving whilst you're not here. But I suppose it can't really be helped. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And now that I've said it all, I've got a pretty decent layout for my transcript, to be honest. I always say things better when I'm not trying to say things well, somehow. God only knows. But yeah, so we're essentially going to be using the most important components of the model, and while still explaining, like I can't remember exactly what it's called, but we'll be using a certain thing which essentially sees which neurotransmitters have a significant contribution to the output. And that's about it. And I'm probably going to stop now and take a break, even though I've only been talking for since you sent me this message. When did you send me this message? I don't know. Whenever you sent me the okay, tell me about it. I mean, to be fair, I was speaking for 15 solid minutes. So, and my presentation has to be about 10 minutes long. So, gonna have to cut that bitch down. But that was good. Thank you for letting me do that. I appreciate it. I hate leaving when you're not here, but hopefully it won't be too upsetting. I'll just send you a quick message. I'm gonna. Smiley face. Okay. Not watcher. Right. Okie dokie. It's been fun. I will see you later. Goodbye.